Hello everyone, it's Jamal Thomas. Welcome to the Progressive Soapbox. So I'm not going to keep this one long, but I thought this was good news and I wanted to share the good news, seeing as the other stuff was not so all that good and I was being a little morbid. I've been a fighter against the Russia narrative. I thought it was bogus. I thought it was bogus from the beginning. I thought, is it possible that Russia somehow interfered? Yes. Did it have any effect on the election? No. But the further we got into this, the more ridiculous this started to get, where they ended up doing Facebook and Twitter ads as being the justification for all of the nonsense that's taken place and all of the air that's being sucked out of the room for the last 2 years. They found no collusion. All of this started with Trump was working with Russia. That story fell apart. They landed on Facebook and Twitter ads. Okay. I've pushed back on that narrative like nobody's business. I have stuck to my gun saying this was bogus, this was nonsense, and in the little corner of the world that we've carved out for ourselves, we've screamed and moaned and pushed back against the narrative that mainstream media has pushed. And oftentimes, we feel like we're in a silo. Like we feel we're in this kind of chamber that nobody can hear us, nobody else knows we're there. Just a little alone in the forest, screaming into the void. But we do make an effect. Take a look at this. A CBS poll found that the majority of people now believes that the Russia probe is politically motivated. A majority of Americans now say that the investigation, this is RT, more Americans believe Russia investigation is politically motivated. It wasn't done by RT, it was done by CBS. So, a majority of Americans now say that the investigation into Russian involvement in the 2016 presidential election is politically motivated, according to a new poll. The CBS News poll found that 53% of Americans believe that the United States Special Counsel Robert Mueller investigation into alleged Russian meddling in the election is politically motivated, while 44% think the investigation is justified. The poll also found that overall 76% of Americans still believe Donald Trump should cooperate if he's asked to be interviewed as part of the investigation. In January, the percentage of people who believe Trump should cooperate was 84%. Essentially, that number is going down. The number revealed that Republicans are even more critical of the investigation now that we're in earlier in the year, now than they were early in the year. In January, the number of Republicans who believe Trump should cooperate with Mueller was at 73%, while the number has dropped to 53%. They should talk to the lefties, progressives also. I would imagine that number is even further down. 33% of the poll said that Republicans in Congress should try to end the investigation, while 64% said Republicans should let the investigation continue. On this question, there was a clear split between Republicans and Democrats, with 90% of Democrats saying the investigation should continue. Hey, is there any political motivation in this at all? You have Democrats at 90% saying, yes, let's keep this investigation going. The rest of the public is looking at it, what, 70%. But the number that I'm getting at is this politically motivated? And the majority of Americans say yes. The majority of Americans say yes. We believe that they're doing this for political ends. I'll take it. It's not much, but I'll take it. It's not necessarily that I think I did this all by myself. I think all of the people who've been pushing and moaning and bitching and screaming that this is nonsense, that they're dredging this up for political ends and they're just trying to obfuscate for their own failures and everything else, somehow it seeped through. And in seeping through, the public itself is saying, this doesn't smell right. This does not smell right. And the public will be correct on that. It doesn't smell right. So I'll leave it at that. I'm not going to keep this one long. This one was just a, by the way, the public is not on board for this. And look, this could have repercussions in regards to the elections. They're using this almost entirely as their strategy to go after Trump. This was their strategy to go after Trump during the election. It failed. They're hoping that Donald Trump being in office will now bring up enough support in order to make this particular strategy work. They don't necessarily want to deal with their own failings and fuck-ups and foibles and problems, so they want to focus on Trump and Russia as a way for them to not expose much of themselves to attack, while at the same token trying to get whatever bang for their buck and squeeze whatever they can out of the lemon to go after Donald Trump with. this is somewhat sad and pathetic, if we're being honest. Donald Trump is one of the grossest presidents that we've ever had in this country. And he's passed a tax bill that's going to put debt on the backs of the American public, while at the same token giving his cronies and himself a massive tax cut. You would think that economics could be an issue that the Democratic Party would be eager and easy to run on. If this was the Democratic Party of old, let's say the Sanders type Democratic Party, they would eat this up and they would go with this populist rhetoric and run roughshod over the Republican Party. That is not the Democratic Party that you have. You have the tepid, the mediocre, the husk of a corporate party that has no tools at all to deal with the Republican Party. You can't even distinguish yourself against the Republican Party to the point where you have to continuously use Russia. I suspect the problem is hypocrisy. Any attack or any main attack that you're going to use on Donald Trump will end up with looking ridiculous. A lot of it would just be grossly hypocritical. And then you end up in a situation of, do people actually believe what you're saying in that process? Somebody screaming hope and change. They didn't get any of that. More like bitter regret. How do you establish trust with a community that no longer trusts you? And how do you change the public opinion of you when that public's opinion has changed to you being this kind of corporate suitor? This is not the party of the working person, or not the party of the 90%. It's a pickle. It is a pickle. What I would say is, screaming Russia in every mic as opposed to dealing with your own failings, that the public is perfectly clear of those failings, is probably not the way to do it. The public is, you're losing the public on this. So I will leave it at that. Not going to keep this one long. I would say if you guys enjoy the content, please feel free to share, like, subscribe, and of course, you can always support the Patreon. Thanks, guys.